welcome back for segment number 2 with our special guest from Empire State Wrestling. And nobody was put through a table yet, so.
Yet.
Maybe at the end.
Keywords.
Thank goodness. See how we're feeling.
I'm going for that picnic bench style one, the one that's definitely not going to break.
I was thinking the pool table.
Guitars for honky tonk.
You ever play No Mercy? The pool table does break.
We'll make sure of that.
Discussion for this segment is overall wrestler of the year. Now, it's been an interesting year as far as like wrestler movement going. Who's leaving? Who's staying? Who's who's getting booted out? Pretty much.
Yeah, it's the chopping block for sure.
Oh my goodness! I mean, seems like people are. I don't want to say there's a lot of movement toward the indies, it seems like, rather than the other way around.
Well, I mean, I would almost disagree with that because I feel like WWE is just trying to sign up every booming talent on the indies.
Well, that's what they do. It's what they did with WCW. They just, try to take away any competition.
Yeah, but it's like I know the influx of indies, but we're always creating new wrestlers, but like they are literally taking everybody, to the exception of like Sami Callihan, who got released from there and then started booming, and then Cody Rhodes. Like there's really not too many standout indie talents.
Well, I think one of them is going to be signing soon, Ricochet.
But hasn't that been the thing for like the past 3 years?
Well, it's gaining more steam now because his contract with Lucha Underground, there's that waiting period.
Did he sign for season 4 yet? Or we? No, he didn't.
He did not.
He's not.
He did not, and there may not be a season 4.
I thought it
was announced.
Oh, it was announced?
Right?
Okay.
Like Vamp just announced
but,
it?
But when New Japan brought their G1 special to the U.S.,
I remember that.
he had a couple things to say.
He was grizzled.
He was a little bit more than grizzled.
He said, "I wish I could fucking wrestle."
You could see facial hair sprout out on his chin. He was getting so grizzled. But overall, just a year of like surprises and whatnot. I don't know, whomever wants to start, give your wrestler of the year.
Real quick, just an overall thing. Like, does anybody else feel like this question is a pretty easy answer?
Yes.
Or is it just me?
Maybe.
Okay. I'm just trying to gauge.
Depends on your flavor of wrestling, I guess.
Yeah, hey.
Pralines and dick.
I totally think wrestler of the year. Obviously, everyone probably go to. I think it's The Miz. It was definitely.
Fuck that.
It was definitely his year.
Pop these guys, that's for sure.
yeah.
I love the Miz, but I wouldn't.
Just because of him, that's all.
Do you not like that Miz guy?
Oh Jesus!
I wish I had my Pepto-Bismol right now. It's just not.
Hey, Russ, when my arm goes up, your mouth goes shut.
No.
I love The Miz. I think he's honestly one of the best out there right now. But was it his year for wrestler of the year? No.
Actually, Rolling Stone thought so.
Well, my point is he wrestler? Wrestler of the year, or was he more of an entertainer? You know what I mean?
Mixture of both.
I mean,
which is what it is. But
What brought him to the show is he's a great heel.
The best heel in the company, I'll give him that.
What's that?
The best heel in the company, hands down, I'll give him that.
Thank you.
But here's the thing.
Exactly.
Wrestler of the he can wrestle. There's no doubt about
absolutely,
that.
absolutely.
Yeah, but he wrestles WWE style wrestling, and just like Daniel Bryan said,
I love
you
the
are a
fact that
WWE. I will never be a WWE wrestler. You are a WWE wrestler.
I love the
that's
fact
a real
that he
life
runs
thing.
away half the time.
It's
you know what I
great.
mean? He does such a good job playing the heel. It's fantastic.
Everybody wants to be
Not
a
even
man
just-
nowadays.
He cowers in the corner or takes off. You know what I mean? I think it's
hides
great.
behind his wife.
Yeah, but
That's his pregnant wife.
And not only just for,
I would hide behind his wife.
Well, yeah.
I wouldn't hide behind her, but I'd go behind her.
not only just for TV, but I went to one of the house shows a few months ago, and like you see all these other heels coming out, the Bray Wyatt and Braun Strowman, whoever else, and nobody's giving a shit enough to not giving a shit about them, but like
Nobody gives a shit about Bray Wyatt in general.
Because
there's that. They're not getting the type of heat that the Miz is. Like, the Miz is out here kind of microphone in his hands, and he generates more heat than anybody else on the roster. And the only one behind him right now, I believe, is Elias Sampson.
You know what? There's a guy that if you give him another year and another, as long as he stays on his track, you could see him holding at least, the very least, the Intercontinental U.S. Championship.
Elias has every tool.
If he's getting that type of heat to where Roman Reigns is getting a pop out of it, the guy's doing his job right.
Absolutely, absolutely. We'll get you into therapy soon.
I love the Miz, but Wrestler of the Year.
I know he
debatable.
stays quiet for like 2/3 of this podcast. The first thing he says, and this guy's sprouting facial hair.
Yeah, pretty much.
In terms of Wrestler of the Year, for me, like top to bottom, January to December, it's got to be AJ Styles, without a shadow of a doubt. Like from the Royal Rumble to 2 world title wins, just to everything in the book. Like how many pay-per-view matches with AJ Styles have been quote unquote match of the year?
You know what?
Damn near all of
SmackDown
them.
matches with Kevin Owens.
I'll tell you what.
Right.
This past pay-per-view, Clash of Champions, would have been shit without AJ Styles.
Right.
And that,
And that-
so-called main event.
And that sentence alone just says, wow, AJ Styles saved a whole fucking show.
He did. He did. I mean, Jinder Mahal should have been gone long ago.
Jinder McNipples.
Jinder McPimples. If there is, there's a photo circulating the internet.
wellness policy.
His
nipple.
His nipple is just like.
I see that.
It looks like it took a plunger to it. and went-
Yeah, he's like lactating or something.
It's like somebody gave him a titty twister and didn't let go.
I remember seeing that. Shit.
But yeah, that was. But yeah, okay, AJ. I mean, you can't really go wrong, especially when it's a TNA guy, the face of the WWE.
Oh, that's just gravy.
Yeah,
that's just gravy.
awesome.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
But like in terms of like reactions, like I think pop of the year would go to his Royal Rumble appearance, right?
Oh, shit, yeah.
Right? Come
That
on.
was last year, right? Or-
Yeah, it was last year.
Did
He faced Cena, and that was, in my opinion, match of the year at this year's Royal Rumble.
Yeah, you know what?
Yeah.
Year
That
before
was
when he
last
debuted.
year.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Every match he has is just off the chain. I mean, really. I mean, he gives it all.
And you know what you have to like about it is that he's he's one of the few guys that he's like 220 pounds ish,
If that.
if that.
Yeah.
He doesn't live off the top rope
No.
like he used to. He knows how to work a match.
Yeah.
You know, and
Work any style.
yeah,
He's very well rounded.
yeah, absolutely. Vince.
Well, I gotta agree with the AJ Styles answer, but to give it a little bit of a different answer, I'd say Cody Rhodes.
Yeah.
Someone who's done more than him this year.
A close second,
I
yeah.
can't open Facebook, Twitter, social media, anything without
seeing.
scrolling for 30 seconds and seeing his name pop up somewhere. Nobody's done more than him this year.
And you know
Pressure
what?
from the WWE was the best thing that
Yeah.
could ever happen to him.
You know what? And I was just going to say, how many people in general thought his career was dead when he left Vince?
Well, he was doing the Stardust shit at the time, and that was going nowhere.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. That's when we thought he was dead.
You ask 5 years ago, nobody would have thought Cody Rhodes would ever be in the running for Superstar of the Year, but yeah, the guy's done more than anybody this year.
I think I remember seeing like after Cody got released, like his first match on the Indies, and I can't for the life of me remember what it was, but it was him versus somebody. I'm like, wow, this match looks boring as fuck. Like Cody's always been a good worker, but I'm sure he had that ceiling above him that was like the WWE ceiling, like don't do that, don't do that, don't do that, and he definitely shattered that glass ceiling and then some. To where he proved, I love to be proven wrong, and I think I watched that match and I was like, oh, this is great.
Yeah.
This is great. Something like that. Something weird. But it wasn't against anybody spectacular. It wasn't a CSJ or like a Gargano or something like that. It was just some guy.
Yeah, right.
Whoa. Okay, Cody.
Okay.
Feel ya.
You go, boy.
Yeah, you go. You go,
It
boy.
wasn't that he ever did anything bad in WWE. It's just like they never gave him the opportunities that he's getting on the Indies now. Like,
Yeah.
Well, and you have more control over your character,
Yeah.
who you are. I mean,
Yeah,
and WWE
absolutely.
scripts everything unless you're John Cena.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't develop yourself.
Now, when you guys, and one question that we like to pose is, if you have total control over what you do, your character, would you give that all up to put everything in the hands of other people if you had a chance to work in like NXT and WWE?
Do I get a glimpse of what my future is going to be? Like if I say, yeah, here's who I am, I sign on the dotted line, but it says, hey, you're going to become Anthony Gaines, Australian zebra hunter.
Right. I mean, that's
It's actually not a bad gimmick.
Fuck off. Like, do I
Outback
get
Jack.
that, or am I just, throwing dust into the wind here?
right. Well, but when you sign a contract
See,
with them, I mean, that's.
I
seems
took
what it is.
I took a seminar with Sammy Callahan earlier this year, and he said it became so miserable for him. He's like, yeah, I was still Sammy Callahan, but he's like, I had this weird Goku hair. He's like, they put on this jacket that just like barely fit me. They told me I couldn't talk regular, that I had to have like this stupid dumb voice. And he's like, it just became like a 9-to-5 desk job for me, where I would literally clock in, clock out, and just have this miserable look on my face. We're like, well, wrestling's not supposed to be miserable. And literally, quote of the year, because we have our little notebooks, he said, wrestling's supposed to be fun. For the love of fucking God, everyone's favorite wrestler is a dead wizard that shoots lightning out of his hands.
He also said, "Don't be a cunt," which
Don't be.
was one of my favorite quotes I've ever heard from anyone.
But it was just very informative that, like, if I can get a glimpse and that's what it means to work for WWE, I don't think I want it.
No.
I don't think I want it.
I guess it would,
That's why
like,
the indie scenes.
I guess it would all depend on if it's something that's going to make you happy. Like, they might put this gimmick on you, and it might be a better vision for you than you have for yourself. Like, it all depends on how, like, what their
Right.
idea is. If it's going to make you miserable, then fuck that. No, you want the control over what you're doing.
Right.
But if they have, like, a good idea of where they want to go with this, it's not something that's going to bury everything that you've worked hard for, then by all means. I mean, go up to NXT and WWE, that's where you're making the money. I mean, whatever gimmick they put on you, supposedly it's going to work. But
For sure.
I think indie wrestling is so DIY that you look at all the great gimmicks like Stone Cold and The Rock, and it was always their personality on steroids, basically how they put it. And on the indie scene, you're still allowed to do that.
Right.
You still get to find something that you're comfortable with, and take it to the 10th degree. But in WWE, it's so scripted and regimented that you can't really, they can't do that. They
And
can't
in
get in their comfort zone.
Right. In the same breath, though, like, yeah, doing everything yourself is super fun. But let's take a look at somebody like Patrick Clark or the Velveteen Dream, who has now this gimmick that's just like blowing up.
You know what? I was just gonna say, when I first saw that Velveteen Dream thing, I'm like,
This fucking sucks.
get it off my TV
And
right
get it
now.
off now.
Now.
Right.
But now it's like it seems to be evolving into something that's not only watchable, but it's like, yeah, okay,
Enjoyable.
yeah.
it's one of those cases where it worked out for the best. I'm putting a gimmick on him.
That's what I mean. So,
Yeah.
like,
Is it?
if you don't take the chance, right?
How much of it is the wrestler willing to just go headstrong into it, and or is it more or less like, I know what I'm doing.
Sure, everyone's
That-
going to want to be hesitant about, like,
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's all about swallowing your pride and taking that.
Well, hell, as
that
long as the check
leap into
clears.
uncharted waters.
they're the ones giving you the living. Like,
Yeah, that's right. Like, oh, do I swallow my pride and go through the motions, or do I say, no, I got something good going here with myself?
but not everybody ends up with a gimmick. Like, you look at, they didn't change AJ Styles at all. It took them a while.
You weren't able. That's
At that point, you couldn't. But you also look at someone like Luke Harper.
We cannot
Where,
compare Patrick Clark to AJ Styles.
no, but you also look at someone like Brody or Luke Harper that they didn't change anything about him until they started doing this new Bludgeon Brothers thing.
Oh, I give that one about another month, and then
Rowan's holding him back.
Rowan is holding everything.
absolutely.
there's a guy that he can talk some, and he has some kind of personality, but there's a case where the choke chains are on him, and you can tell.
Yeah.
And even Luke Harper, to a point too.
Yeah.
Because he can cut a
That
decent
little
promo.
spit, what was it? When they did the brand split, he had that
Yes.
little minute of fame, and he was all right.
He was all right, but they don't develop it.
He was more than all right, though. Like, he was catching steam behind
Yeah,
it, too.
yeah.
And
absolutely.
I feel like, especially in this area, like, we are super biased to Brody Lee.
Yeah.
Biased to Brody Lee. And,
Yeah.
like, when that push came, we were all like, oh, motherfucker, this is it. Like, we're throwing couches and shit.
They
We're
put the
so happy.
Intercontinental belt on him, everything. Like,